Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to our Life West Leadership Line. I'm really excited about today's Life West Leadership Line. I've got two very special people in my heart, two of our students, both involved with our Student American Black Chiropractic Association, or we'll say SABCA, on campus. I have Xavier, who's with us, and he is a current president of SABCA. And then I have Dayanara, who is our ex-president or last president, finished her term. And I have them both on with us today just to talk about SABCA, talk about whatever we're going to talk about. We're going to have a great conversation and be able to move forward. So welcome, Dayanara. Welcome, Xavier, to the Life West Leadership Line.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me, Dr.
Yeah, my pleasure. My pleasure. So listen. The first thing I'd like to do is let's talk about SABCA, right? And let people know what SABCA is about, what SABCA stands for. So the two of you know, I just had on the Life West Leadership Line, I just taped last week, Quentin Briscoe, Dr. Quentin Briscoe, the president of SABCA. He's of ABCA, actually. He's leaving. His term is done, right? But I had a really wonderful conversation. He'll be coming out before us. But share with me. Just share with our listeners, what SABCA is about on the campus and what you guys stand for.
Yeah, so SABCA officially now has started 9 months ago as far as the SABCA chapter, revamping the SABCA chapter here at Life West. It was 9 quarters ago. We started at our first quarter with about 6 other students, all varying through quarters from seniors to down to first quarters. And really it was created to just have a space for Black students. We understand that coming into this field, we know that chiropractic is only seen by the Black community, of 1% of the Black community. And so to come into that profession and knowing that your population isn't being seen, that automatically has to mean that even a lesser population of you is within the profession. And so coming into this, it was kind of like a vision of mine, as well as the fellow other students, Daya included, in order to have this place so that when we come here, we feel like home. We walk the halls of Life West, which are very multicultural and represent all nations and colors. But then when it comes down to it, it's a matter of what's in front of you, and what's in front of you can be very daunting at times.
Yeah.
And so we saw it as a mission to have a space where it's like what's in front of you is what looks like you.
Yes.
And finding encouragement in that and understanding that you have docs that, or at least students that are seniors, and you're watching them graduate, you're watching everybody progress, you're watching everybody that looks like you succeed, as well as interacting with your own counterparts that don't look like you is important as well. And so just holding that space is really why SABCA was created. And then from holding that space, we hope that it can exude a love for the profession that reaches out to our communities as we go back, as well as we go through through schooling and everything, and our love for it grows, so can the world outside.
Yeah, and Daya, I know that because we've talked immensely about this, especially when you're a president, right? And there's a mission, right, for SABCA, at the campus, and I know we've done you guys have done some really great things, right? Can you share what the mission is and what
Yeah, just elaborating on what Xavier said. When we started SABCA and I took over as president, I just kind of noticed what the demographics were looking like at school. And I wanted to make sure that we were serving our people, even though we can't serve them through chiropractic just yet. We've partnered with different organizations in the Bay Area to do a lot of community work, centralized in communities of color, just to make sure that we are giving back. Since we are blessed and fortunate enough to give back, I wanted to make sure that our whole group was giving back, so we stay in our why. But most importantly, that too, whenever we do go out, we're talking the take, we're teaching people about chiropractic, teaching people the benefits, because the communities that we're serving, we have to look at it from a physiological standpoint. These are communities that are stuck in sympathetic responses who need chiropractic care the most. So by being able to start the dialogue and start the conversation, we're paving the avenue for new patients to come into chiropractic. With chiropractic only serving 10% of the US population, we need to see why has that been. And I think that now over the last, I want to say 10, 20 years, we're kind of seeing that boom in chiropractic when it comes to people of color in chiropractic. The boom might not be so big, but the only way we're going to continue to get that to grow is if we start getting more and more patients in, and more patients that represent different demographics. Like currently chiropractic is only 1% Black and 3% Latino. So that, and there's I think 2% other. So about 95% of chiropractic is all white. So we are going out to serve populations that are very narrow. So through SABCA, through all the community work that we're doing, we're just kind of trying to establish a new frontier for our patients to just kind of bring something new into chiropractic.
Yeah, and I want you both just to share real quickly, and I want to touch on what you just said, what you both just said, but share with our community what you recently, right? Was it last quarter or not last quarter? 2 quarters ago, we just finished for our viewers. Last week was our finals week, so we're on break right now. But the quarter before that, last quarter was our spring quarter. Our winter quarter, SABCA did an amazing thing right at the college, right? Yeah. Can you share with them what SABCA did? I thought it was just beautiful.
We partnered with okay, go ahead, X.
No,
we partnered with City Eats.
It's hard for 2 people. I'll call on you.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
So for City Eats, we partnered with City Eats about Q2, and then the first Saturday of each month, SABCA would go out and volunteer to feed the homeless in San Francisco. We had the idea to bring the community service event to the school, so we did a community service event for the whole school where we fed over 2,000 people in the Oakland community. So we just kind of all got together, we made sandwiches, we opened it up to the whole school. We partnered with the fraternity and the sorority to get hygiene and feminine products to also pass out. And it was just a really beautiful event for all of us just to come together and go out and serve our community. But also it was really great to see people who haven't served these communities before come out and start to see the different disparities that are out there, because I think hearing about them on the news or seeing them in pictures is a lot different than when you're actually there. Yeah. So it was really great to start opening up that avenue for some of our students as well.
Yep. X, do you want to add to that?
No, that was pretty much it. It was a wonderful experience, like Di said, just to be able to get out in those communities. Like stated earlier, that SABCA has been doing this since kind of like our second quarter in. And so to be able to open it up to the whole school and show them what we do and get out into the communities that we are talking about, letting people know that stuff is real out here. You know, it is something to go into a park and then notice that the ground is covered in needles and substances and everything like that, and know that these are people's living conditions. And then relating that back chiropractically to, we think about the 3 T's, this is it all right here, you know? And it's like, to know that this population isn't being served or they're underserved or whatever have you, it kind of takes a toll on me as a professional. Yeah. And so it kind of is just another fuel for the fire in order to have us get out there and just help those in need, in true need, you know? Yeah.
And I just thank you for saying that. And I want to thank you for what you do, because, you know, when both of you, I believe, you caught me in the gym, remember, I think, and you said, hey, we're looking at doing this. And it was like, absolutely, you know, college supports it 100%. You know, it's that vision of that you have, you know, as far as serving and as far as going out and doing that. And it was just, it's amazing. And I know we'll do more and more, you know, once we get back to campus. But I just want to give a shout out right now, because I'm not sure if the 2 of you even know, being, you know, current president and past president, how SABCA even started on campus, you know, and I'm not sure if you know, but I want to give a shout out to Dr. Cedric Stewart, because when Dr. Ced was when he was a student on campus, he was doing something, I don't know where we were, but I was with him, and I asked him, I said, he was a student at the time, so I said, hey, Cedric, you know, why is there no SABCA, you know, association on campus? And he said to me, well, we've tried, and da-da-da-da. And I go, well, that doesn't make sense. So, you know, we put it on, you know, and I said, let's come to me. He said, I'd love to organize it. I want it. And he's the person who really kind of, and people with him, obviously, you know, really came out and stepped forth, and they kind of started it on campus. And was just beautiful. But I want to go into a conversation. So shout out to Dr. Cedric Stewart, and he graduated. He's now a professor at the campus, and not professor, but he's now a faculty at the campus. And he's also, you know, practices in the community. And so a big shout out to him for everything that he did, and all the people before you who have taken it to the level in the last 9 quarters or 2 years, you know, whatever, 2.5 years of where you guys have it now. But let's talk about something you touched on. about how do we, bring chiropractic more, Dayanara, you talked about that sliver, right? That 1% out of the 10% that we're seeing right now, as we narrow that down, how do we get chiropractic more out to our communities, right? To our underserved communities. And we can talk Black communities right now or people of color. It doesn't matter. I just want our viewers to know that, Dayanara comes from San Francisco. So in the city, so she understands, the plight of people of color. And Xavier is from Watts. And so obviously, people know what Watts is about. Hopefully our readers do, I learned about Watts when I was, 1967, when I was in Detroit, and the riots in Watts and the riots in Detroit were going on at the same time, kind of bi-coastal. Not that Detroit's on the coast, but we do have water surrounding us. But share with me, how you see it, and how as a profession we can make that happen. Good. I'll kind of orchestrate it right now. So I'll start with Dayanara, then I'll go to Xavier.
So how we can start navigating and orchestrating it, I think first is as providers, we need to take a step back and see what biases we might have, because it's true, everybody has underlying biases. And we just have to be able to check those and go within ourselves to see why we have those, but also start approaching people that you wouldn't approach beforehand. I understand that in the marketing aspects, we need to have our ideal target market, our ideal patient. But if you're a chiropractor and you're taking the oath to take care of people, and the spine is the root of all cause of disease, and you're here to genuinely care for your people, maybe you need to reestablish what your ideals are. Instead of saying, this is my ideal, this is my target, how can I become a target for people who have never received care before? So just kind of like taking yourself out of this limiting box, in my opinion, and seeing how we can start serving the greater population. I think it's going to come from community involvement. Also, too, like I do understand that there is that double-edged sword, just given all the political history, systematic racism that's been put in place within the healthcare profession. Latino and Black people are not as trusting when it comes to white providers. So just kind of acknowledging that, but also taking the steps forward to create that trust. And it shouldn't be a turmoil about it. I think it should just try to come like naturally and have like that symbiotic flow, but it's just that understanding and just kind of also taking each patient individually as a person. So it's like, okay, I'm going to have to develop this type of relationship with this patient, this relationship with this patient, and just kind of learning how to navigate it. But I think most importantly is we just need to start going into communities that don't have care. For example, that's why I do respect what the joints model is, because the joints model is getting into these communities which have never had chiropractic before and provide care at very reasonable rates. So I think that's another thing too, where we have to understand that economics is also a huge barrier to chiropractic. I've worked at multiple different offices, and one office I did work at, it was $120 an adjustment. Imagine needing care for 3 times a week, and you're on a family on a fixed income. That's going to be impossible to obtain. And I understand we do need to create and add value to chiropractic, but also too, we need to understand when we are creating that value for ourselves, how is that value for ourselves blocking out patients from getting the care that they need? Yeah. So I think there's like a few different other avenues that we could dive into, but let's pass it off to Xavier to see what else he would like to add to that.
Excellent.
Yeah. Just kind of touching on everything or piggybacking off of you is kind of just holding that space. We as chiropractors, we're able to connect, we're able to tap in, but it's removing all of those layers, like Daya said, taking a step back, removing all of the politics, removing everything, and just being able to see your patient, regardless of if they walk in with a Black Lives Matter t-shirt on, or All Lives Matter t-shirt on, or a Blue Lives Matter t-shirt on, just understanding that they're a patient that's going through the same 3 T's as any other patient that has walked through your space. Specifically for helping out the Black community, it's transracial, is at the end of the day, we're all humans, and so we have the same needs as anybody else, as anything else, or, we show the same signs of life. And so it's about showing up, caring, and correcting the adjustment. As well, what we can do as a first step is at the school, we believe a lot in tonal work. We believe a lot in breath work and controlling heart rate and everything like that. And so that's the first step that we can do. That's always a first step in order to have the patient connect with you, have the patient be able to be in that space and understand that this is a space of security. This is a space that you can be vulnerable in, because I feel like that is something that the Black community deals with, is that with all this mistrust of the healthcare profession, there is a level of, I'm going to be apprehensive if I walk into any place that has a doctor, because holistic or not, anything can happen, you know?
Right. And that doesn't matter what color doctor. Is that what you're saying? Is it?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. No, it doesn't matter what color doctor, but statistically it has been shown that doctors of the same color or of the same race have an easier way of connecting.
Yeah.
But then again, it still brings up the argument of, you are a chiropractor. You are able to see as many people as you can, so you should be able to hold that space inside. Yes. I mean, it's ADIO. We serve from abundance, you know? Mm-hmm. So there shouldn't be too much of an excuse of, you know, oh, I can't do that because I'm not connecting because they don't look like me. Right. We have, like I said, we under the skin, it's the same neurology, same osseous structure, it's the same muscular structure, yeah. You know? So it's about showing up and go ahead.
No, so Xavier, and Daya touched on this about like the avatar, right? Like who the group that you're looking at, whether it's a sports group or whether it's whatever, you know. Talk about that. You know, someone can say, well, my avatar isn't necessarily minorities, right? It might be, I might have a different avatar, or I might be living in a different area, right? You know, but that's still not a reason to not want to connect or not learn how to connect, right? And how do people deal with that?
Yeah, and if I may touch on this really briefly, I mean, it's not. Despite your avatar is an avatar, right? It doesn't represent you throughout the whole. Of course, we can have an ideal patient, but your ideal patient comes in many shades and many forms and many different colors, and with varying political ideals and everything. You know, nobody is ever clear cut or cookie cutter in this profession. We deal with everybody. And so when you say, oh, my avatar is this, my avatar is that, like I said, there are all walks of life that believe in your avatar or are synonymous with your avatar. And so it wouldn't hurt to find these areas or find these populations in populations that aren't the same as yours. If you are in a suburban area, try going to an urban area. If you believe in certain sports, try serving in these underserved populations for these sports. It's the same culture, the same people. You may even learn something new, but at the same time, you're interacting with people who deal with these things that are being complained about on the daily. And so through that, you gain perspective. Through that, you gain understanding. Through that, you gain knowledge. And through all that, you become a better chiropractor. You become able to adapt. You become able to better connect with those that don't look like you, because you have all of this perspective to stand on top of as you give the adjustment which you are founded in. You know, and we can effectively utilize what chiropractic is, because when there's this mutual understanding between clinician and patient, magic happens. Yes, you know, we see it in seminar.
Yeah. And I definitely think that the future is kind of going towards a lot of community involvement and a lot of community work. And I think it's really important right now to establish our communities to start learning and growing in. And that might look different for each person. So like, especially a provider who's serving in Walnut Creek, their patient demographic is going to be completely different than to have a chiropractor serving in East Oakland. But what I can say is there's different ways to support, even if you're not going to be that doctor for those patients. You can still educate yourself. There's multiple organizations that you can donate to. You can start educating your patients, educating yourself, educating your staff to start doing this, but also creating coalitions where it's like, okay, we're a group of chiropractors. We're going to get together the first Saturday of each month to go serve these underserved and underrepresented communities. So there's multiple different ways that you can start changing and start, going through different avenues, and just understanding that change might be uncomfortable, but change is definitely necessary. And we're kind of at that point where we need to change. And not only that, we have to kind of take this as a fight for our profession. As the medical model begins to dominate and continues to dominate, chiropractic is going to get pushed out if we don't start expanding, we don't start growing with the times. And a lot of people don't want to take that into consideration, but it's true. The driving force of the U.S. economy is the black and brown dollar. So as we start progressing, we start aging, if I have to make it an economic point for people to start understanding these things, literally you're going to make yourself go obsolete if you are not going after patients who are black and brown. By 2050, the minority in the United States will be white America, and chiropractic is 95% white. We're already a minority within a minority of a profession. We're going to go ahead and cancel our own selves out if we don't go ahead and start taking care of people. And if we genuinely don't want the medical model to thrive and we believe in vitalism, this is a fight for our profession currently. We need to get out there so we're seeing patients, because the medical model is killing people.
That's right.
It's killing people. There's definitely a time and the place, you break an arm, go to the ER. But just if we truly want vitalism in the United States and vitalism in the chiropractic profession to keep perpetuating, we need to start going into these communities, and we need to start changing the way we think, the way we talk, we just need change within the profession. And I think this is going to be the perfect time and the avenue to start segueing that change and getting patients into chiropractic who've never been in chiropractic before. Because they want care. They want care. Like, ask Xavier, whenever we go out, we talk chiropractic to these communities. They're like, this is amazing. This is awesome. Like, we want to get adjusted. So the need is out there. The drive is out there. The money is out there.
Yeah. But the interesting thing is this, and Xavier, let me share one thing, and then I want your points on this. The interesting thing is that the subluxation that I see in our profession is above Atlas, right? We know this, right? It's above Atlas. And to be able to make a change, right? To be able to see things as you guys just explained it, right? That there's a lot of people out there that we need to serve, and there's underrepresented, populations out there. And we are an underrepresented population as chiropractors, right? We're underrepresented as far as the number of chiropractors out there, right? 65,000 roughly, or 75,000 in the US compared to 323 million people, and we're underrepresented within our population, right? With people of color, right? If it's 5%, whatever it might be, right? And 1% Black. We have to understand that a change needs to take place, and it needs to happen here, but it's not a change of we don't want any more white chiropractors. It's a change of a mindset, right? Of wait a minute, like Xavier said, people are people underneath the white, the brown, the black, we're the same structure. We have the same universal intelligence, innate intelligence. I mean, everything is the same, but the change has to take place here. And I have to tell you that, and I'll speak for me, right? And I'm not speaking for the white population, because I'm not assigned to do that. But for me, it took training, it took opening up, and I'm still not there. But it's like you mentioned, unconscious bias. If I asked a white person about that, I get emails saying that, well, what's going on with Black Lives Matter or BLM on the, it's all people matter. And when people come in my office, I don't see them as color. This is what I hear from white chiropractors to a white chiropractor writing to me. I don't see them as color. And my response is, then you don't see them, right?
Yeah, I think Trevor Noah said it best. We all see color, but it's how you interpret it. Because what happens when you get to a stoplight? If it's red, you're going to stop. If it's green, you're going to go. So it's like we see color. Like, we can't lie and be blind about it, but it's how we interpret color and how we respect color and how we understand color that matters. That's I think the statement I think I want to say I get most triggered by, when people are like, oh, no, I don't see color. Like, no, we all see color. We definitely see color. It's just how you respond to it.
Right.
And definitely just kind of like, there's so many different analogies. Like, Xavier had an amazing analogy to touch on, like Black lives versus all lives. But if you say Black Lives Matter, you're not saying these lives don't matter, this doesn't matter, that's never been said. It's just our lives matter. So it's Black Lives Matter. So X, I don't know if you want to go in, because you kind of killed it before I even got on the call. So.
Yeah, share that. Sure. X, talk about it.
No, it's all good. I wanted to touch on what you talked about, Dr. O, first, but it's about making that switch, right? It's about changing the perspective of chiropractic is only pain management, or chiropractic is only for car accidents or this or that, and putting it in, no, this is wellness care. This is healthcare for your spine, for your neurology, for literally what governs your body, and so it's about, I say, stepping away and gaining perspective. And that's on both parts, right? Clinician and patient, because for the patient's mindset, we talk about everything, the adjustment really being above Atlas. For the patient, it's the mindset of, oh, this is only for if I get into a car accident, or if I only have pain, or if I only have this. And then for the chiropractor, it's, oh, why aren't they, kind of making it seem like I have this bag of gold and they're not coming here. They're not my target market anymore. No, they just don't understand that this is a bag of gold, and you have to explain it. And it's about articulating. And that's why I love our school so much, is because it prepares us through learning the philosophy, through learning all of the science and everything like that, to be able to articulate what's going on. You mix that with who you are, and you can compare, you can share that with the world,
Yeah.
But yeah, even touching on Black Lives Matter, and we talked about perspective, touching on Black Lives Matter versus All Lives Matter. I put up a Facebook post that said, when we said save the whales, it didn't mean forget all the other animals. It just means let's focus on the whales for a second. And I believe it's the same thing for Black Lives Matter versus All Lives Matter. And that looking at Black Lives Matter being that whether, and this is a chiropractic audience, so we understand that chiropractically there are a lot of things that happen, a lot of miracles that happen, that aren't recorded through statistics and everything like that. Understand that this is the same thing that's happening in the Black community. Actually, constitutionally, once you enter into the system or the prison system, regardless of what it's for, you're technically a slave. And so within that, you have certain rights that people can take advantage of, and all of that aren't always brought out in the statistics. And so, you have people that say, oh, statistically, Black people aren't as oppressed as we really think by the police officers. But coming from a student who lives in Watts and has grown up in the quote unquote ghettos of California, it really is real, if not more real than what's going on. You look at everything, and we live in a three-dimensional world, so you can't look at everything. It's 2D. Racism is multifactorial, the same way that Black Lives Matter is multifactorial. And politics can't get in the way. Media can't get in the way and push agendas that aren't always there. Black Lives Matter isn't about defunding the police and causing chaos and looting and everything like that. It's about just taking the time to understand that there are civil rights that are being taken advantage of, and it's being swept under the rug because of policy and because of underwritten rules and everything like that. That's really what the source of the Black Lives Matter movement is, approaching and addressing the unnecessary escalation of arrests that oftentimes lead to fatalities in the Black community. These are things that we touch on. And so it's that sentiment that kind of raises this wall of, like, when people say all lives matter or whatever have you, that true Black Lives Matter supporters are like, hey, no, that's not the case. And as my last point, we have to look at it as both sides, right? There's a duality of everything, a good and a bad. This is no different from the police force, right? You have good apples, you have bad apples. It's the same thing. Media is a powerful weapon in this time, And so with the click of a button, I can paint a picture of, oh, Dr. Oberstein and Dayanara are both racist, and then take the camera off and use that quote. And it's like, that is completely outside of their character. That is completely outside of who they are. But yet we use these things in order to divide us. Right. So it's a matter of, always, again, stepping back, gaining perspective, understanding what all is going on, not getting lost in the minutia, of course, understanding, having proprioception of where you are, both politically, mentally, and emotionally, and then understanding what's around you.
Yeah. So. And I want to ask you something, but I just want to share something. There are, and you talked about anecdotal, evidence there, right? That happens, Xavier, but there is true statistics. And I'll just give an example. You can probably, agree or not agree, but the response time, ambulance response time in Watts, ambulance response time in areas of San Francisco, in areas of Detroit, in inner city areas, right? It's statistically noted, or police response time. It's statistically noted that the response times are a lot. The time frame is longer as compared to other areas of the country, right?
I used to be an EMT as well, so I've seen this from the other side of it as well. Like, the response times in these areas are a lot longer to get there compared to other areas. And it kind of goes into the whole dispatching of where you're going to get the call, where you're going to go. But it also kind of shows how these systematic structures have been put into place where people are fearing for their lives as providers to go out into these areas to serve patients. Then you go with this preconceived notion of what your patient is supposed to be like based on their socioeconomics and where you're picking them up from. So then that hinders your level of care. Like with Black Lives Matter, as Xavier said, it's more than just police brutality. So I'm one of the organizers for this organization known as 4HD. We're the ones that shut down the Bay Bridge last week. And the 6 points that we're talking about is police brutality, education, gentrification, healthcare, food deserts, as well as economic inclusion in tech. So Black Lives Matter is more than what people are starting to understand and see. And I think this is like the greatest opportunity to start educating ourselves on these points, where it's like disenfranchisement isn't just in one facet, it's completely structurally ingrained. So we aren't meant to succeed. And I think that's kind of the area where people are like, oh, well, I've gone through like issues and struggles. And it's like, we're not trying to take from issues and struggles, but it's like, there's other things that have happened to inhibit us. And that's kind of where the Black Lives Matter is shedding the light on that.
Right. And the other thing too is that, you know, if someone puts hashtag BLM or Black Lives Matter, it's not necessarily the support for the group or the organization Black Lives Matter, you know, right? You know, and I've had people come at me, you know, literally come at me and say, well, you're supporting a group that's, you know, it's all left-wing, you know, propaganda, da, 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 da. And I'm not denying what they think or what they feel, right? Because everyone's entitled to feel that, but it doesn't necessarily mean that. It means that, you know, like you said, whales matter, you know, it doesn't mean we care, you know, or, you know, whatever you want to say, right? Rainforest, right? You know, save the rainforest. Well, it doesn't mean that we don't like any other rainforest or we're just with that group, right? You know, speak on that for a second. And then we're going to kind of, we can go on all day. And I know that our viewers have to, you know, we try to keep this as short as we can, but I love our conversation going on.
Yeah, it's just looking at the multifactorialness of it, you know, and just reiterating, like stepping back and gaining perspective, being able to, you know, educate yourself, being able to step up and advocate, like Daya said, advocating for, you know, within your inner circles, advocating your CAs, advocating your fellow chiropractors, educating your friends and educating those around you. There's a plethora of resources that are out, both on Netflix, in book form and everything. But it's a matter of doing that, you know, taking the initiative, taking the jump in order to do so. Yeah.
Big. Diane?
I was just going to add, Xavier and I actually led seminar about 3 quarters ago where we talked about the health to wealth gradient, which is also known as the social determinants of health and medical racism, and how chiropractic could actually be the gap to, the factor that bridges the gap in healthcare currently. So I don't know if maybe Dr. O could like provide that link, but I think that'd be a great video for people in chiropractic to watch, to see all the statistics get broken down, how the health to wealth gradient plays out, but also the importance of chiropractic for these communities and how chiropractic can actually boom through this to become the new way and become the primary in healthcare instead of an alternative option.
Right. And I always say this: we're the alternative. Like to me, drugs and surgery are the alternative, right? You know, we should be the first, right? The primary, the first choice. And we will put that link under. So we'll have that. You know, I'll have Shane put that under, so we'll put that up on YouTube, and we'll have a link so that our viewers can go and listen to that. And I just want to thank you both, you know, for what you're doing at the college, number one, you know, for stepping into chiropractic, right? And with your vision of where you want to take chiropractic to the groups that you want to take it, the education that you're bringing to our students, for doing something that might not be so popular, first of all, chiropractic used to be unpopular, right? I don't know what it's like now, but, you know, because I'm not out there stepping in. I've been in it for so long, I'm probably jaded, but, you know, I find it to be the greatest profession in the world. But you know, stepping in and really doing that, and for what you're doing in the community and what you're doing, you know, and what you're going to be doing, because I know you're both are going to make just really big footprints in chiropractic. So I want to thank you both for that. I want to ask you if you have any parting words that you'd like to share. We'll have to keep them brief, but anything you'd like to share as we move forward, as we end.
I just wanted to say thank you again, Dr. Oberstein, for providing this dialogue and providing this platform for us. And I just want to tell everybody, it's okay. Ask the questions. If you feel uncomfortable, it's okay. Just go ahead and ask, because it's better that you start gaining the understanding of these things instead of creating the own dialogue within. So just continue to ask, continue to stay curious, and let's promote chiropractic.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Excellent.
Yeah. Just to reiterate, just continue to stay hungry, continue to stay educated, continuing to understand both perspectives. It's a double-edged sword on both sides. So there are statistics that negate things that one side says, the same way there's statistics that negate what the other side says as well. But it's a matter of, again, stepping back, gaining perspective, talking to people, understanding neutral points of view rather than just having this internalized debate or, in a sense, preaching to the choir, speaking to people that think like you and act like you and so on and so forth. Continue to perpetuate that. If we can start seeing each other in the duality of things, then we can understand and start to grow as a society.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you both, and to our viewers, we love and appreciate you. Thank you for coming to the LifeWest Leadership Line. I think I learned a tremendous amount from these two individuals who are phenomenal students, but they're phenomenal advocates. And you can see how they're going to present chiropractic and what they're going to do with chiropractic, but and how their plan is, to be able to help us and help me learn more how we can get chiropractic out to a greater amount of people and people of color especially, and into the Black community also. So thank you both, and thank you for listening. We want you to make sure that you stay humble, keep asking questions. There's the only bad question is a question that's not asked, and keep loving, giving, and serving and doing, and know that LifeWest cares about you. So until we see you at the next, or till you see us at least at the next Leadership Line, kiss your loved ones, share the chiropractic story, and of course, always just, stay safe in your life and deliver your message. Good. See you next time.